part of this new agreement is something called the Investor-State Dispute Courts. Excuse me, Investor-State Dispute Settlement Courts, or ISDS Courts.
The
Investor-State Dispute Settlement. Now, these are potentially very scary, but I want to suggest how they can be used in a different way. These courts allow corporations to bring lawsuits against nations that pass, that are part of trade agreements, that pass laws that would limit the corporate profit of that, limit the profit of that corporation. What do I mean? They already exist in some forms. So Philip Morris, the U.S. tobacco company, is presently suing Paraguay for implementing new anti-tobacco legislation because it's going to cut down their future profits. There's a French water company, I think it's a water company, a French company anyway, that is suing Egypt for creating higher minimum wage. Saying that you have to then, if you're going to create that higher minimum wage, but then you, the Egyptian government, has to reimburse us our future profits.
These are lawsuits in that TPP court.
These investor states. Well, the investor state dispute settlement, of course, already exists outside of this, right? These are kind of these international law courts that don't have any real accountability to anybody. Okay, the TPP is going to allow for a lot more of this, so that if the U.S. passes or probably more like the other way around, but if the U.S. passes an increased minimum wage and some Chinese company says, well, this is affecting our profits, that Chinese company could potentially sue the United States in these courts. Okay, and it's a really bad thing, right? I mean, it really threatens environmental legislation, it threatens workplace legislation, it threatens the ability of Bangladeshi workers or Vietnamese workers or Cambodian workers or other nations that are engaged in these various trade agreements to improve their lives. But what it does do is it establishes an important precedent that international regulatory bodies can exist that are actually regulating this international trade. Right? That
you're saying these courts that have been used for bad
could be used for good. You could theoretically have, rather than an investor-state dispute settlement, you could have a worker-state dispute settlement court.
Yeah.
Right. In other words, the structure to rethink how international trade works and to give different actors in this international trade access to laws that are transnational. It's already been created by the corporations themselves. Yep.